Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. What's your name?
Thierry ARYS RUIZ.
Thierry?
Thierry, yeah, it's a French name, but I'm actually half Belgian, half Mexican.
Like Thierry Henry?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, how you doing?
Cool. I'm good. Welcome to Pitch Investors Live. How's it going?
It's amazing. I mean, I'm in Geneva here in Switzerland. Where are you about?
I'm in New York.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather today, so so I apologize. I'm just
No
trying to be able to speak well, but I'm very congested, so should be good though.
Okay, so why don't we kickstart it? Basically, maybe I can just pitch you in very quickly in kind of an elevator pitch what we're doing. If you're familiar with cryptocurrencies, you know, when I first heard about cryptocurrencies, I heard about Bitcoin because I was involved in the mining business. So, you know, basically taking ounces of gold, silver, and also copper concentrates out of the ground. And then all of a sudden I heard in 2013, there was another type of mining, which was mining Bitcoins. So I was trying to figure this out. And then I heard about being a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And then, you know, I always was looking for libertarian ideas and all of these, you know, free, basically free banking and real money, right? Real money system. And so I looked it up, and it was supposed to replace fiat. And then I said, well, is it really, right? Because now we see that there's tons of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin Cash, and they keep on forking and so on. And so, you know, at some point I realized that, you know, the value of it was kind of the network. And I don't want to say it's a Ponzi scheme, but to me, you know, when people tell me, oh, the value of my business is the network only, I was thinking, yeah, maybe that's a Ponzi scheme. So I was bouncing between, is it a Ponzi scheme? Is it a real network and a real peer-to-peer money system? And I said, you know what, since I'm in the mining business, since I've been trading with gold, why don't we do basically Bretton Woods gold standard backed currency and utilize the distributed ledger technology to do this. So this is what AgAu.io is. So AgAu is AgAu, Ag for silver, Au for gold. Well, if you look at the track record of history, right, this is 3,000 years of evolution of money being gold, essentially. And when you look at the gold as a chemical element, is the only thing that is immutable in time. So that's why they use it as a store of value, right? In other words, you know, I always say it was immutable before immutable was cool, right? Not so long ago, I had an interview, people asking me what I think about the future of money. And I thought, you know, in the future, if you've seen the movie On Time, I think in the future we'll be trading, instead of currency, we'll be trading in time and energy, right? But maybe when the singularity comes and we're all plugged into the matrix, but so far we're still centralized. So we need to have something, you know, with bones and flesh type of things to actually transact. So, you know, the idea of money is what? Is that, you know, your time is valuable. It must not be the same value as my time, but we have to find a standard, right? So you find this standard as gold, and how much gold do I have to pay you, as opposed to how much gold I have to pay me. Look, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. It's basically using cryptocurrencies and DLT to really back it and essentially have a better banking system utilizing the you know, cryptocurrency way of dealing with things with no T+3. One of the advantages is that you can transact in gold and silver and price your goods in gold and silver. Not recently, I was at the UN also speaking about that, you know, banking the unbanked. The fact that right now all currencies are basically already competing with each other, right? Be it Swiss francs, be it dollars, be it Japanese yen or or British pound. At the end of the day, you want to have the best money. Friedrich Hayek, one of the biggest economists on the supply side economics, or Chicago School of Economics, if you want to call it this way, was totally for private money. So the Swiss National Bank is also a private institution, just like the Federal Reserve, and they do issue in some form private money. The only thing is that it's fractional reserve based, meaning that they are not backed one-to-one. And long story short is let's go back to the Bretton Woods system, to the gold standard, but in a better way. And what's the better way? There's two differences. Number one is that it's an immutable ledger with immutable rules that you cannot change. I cannot just come and all of a sudden change the rules of the game and say that now your token is not going to be backed 100% by gold. And the second thing is the trust, right? The trust is that because the way we structure the system, that the gold is there. So essentially, it allows you to transact gold that is physically allocated and segregated in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, but no matter where you are. So that would be Venezuela or any other country. So that's really, in a nutshell, what it is.
So you're creating a currency that's going to be backed by gold and silver, then, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Now, so who utilizes the currency? Is it other cryptocurrencies that want to legitimize themselves, or is it just your own?
Well, this is a completely new cryptocurrency. It's called AgAu, AgAu. But of course, as you might know, in the cryptocurrency exchanges now, you do flip from currency to currency, from Ethereum to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and they were forking. Look, the problem I have with that is that at the end of the day, it's not stable, so there is a lot of volatility, and it's not meant to do 10x. Okay, my token is basically a stable token, and yes, the idea is that you can go from pardon my French, but all your shit coins and then transform them into a real store of value. The other thing is also to tap into the most global market, right? So we're issuing 500 million Swiss francs worth of gold in token form on Q1 next year. We've got pretty good news coming up. The former CEO of a Swiss bank is going to join our team as an investor and also in the team. So that's going to be official in December. 500 million for the cryptocurrency market is a lot, is one of the top 10. But for the gold market, is really tiny when you actually look at things. So all central banks have somewhat gold. When Ron Paul was asking Ben Bernanke is gold money, he had trouble saying that it was a barbarous relic, right? But at the same time, the Federal Reserve does hold gold, right? So it's only since 1971 and Nixon that actually we unpegged from gold. But when you look at history, 3,000 years, it's only since 1971. You see a lot of defaults. The monetary mass has increased, the inflation, your money. So, again, we're utilizing the fact that you can use peer-to-peer transactions. You don't need the government to know who you are. And we're doing it in a completely legal form here in Switzerland because it's accepted here and the ecosystem is prone to do such things. Traditionally, Switzerland is the best place for gold. I always say we take the best things of Switzerland, which is besides chocolate, gold, commodity trading, and banking. And now it's the crypto valley, also technology. We merge them all together, and that's what we do.
So what's your business model then? What's the actual business model? Like, how do you create revenue? Who uses your platform, your currency?
Yeah. So it's a very good question. The revenue stream comes from 3 points. The first one is we have a transaction fee per transaction on every peer-to-peer transaction. So you can think of VAT, but better. So we encode in the smart contract essentially two things. One is the transaction fee of 0.1% per transaction. So this depends on the velocity of money. So that's going to be like the constant income stream. The second is at the ICO level. We have the token 100% backed by gold. That means that one token is 1 gram. But at the ICO, we have a 2% premium, meaning that 98 cents on the dollar go to the purchase of the gold. But we do take, if you want, a commission of 2% at the ICO. And the third thing is basically building the ecosystem and use it for many different other things, right? So essentially, the next thing is creating a platform where everyone has kind of a Uber ATM, turning all of the phones into an ATM where people can transact from cash into gold tokens and vice versa in order to increase the adoption. Now it's an ERC20 token, so it is based on Ethereum. So it's already prone to be popular because everyone with an Ethereum wallet can get that token. So that's really those three things. The first one is the 2% premium at issuance, which is very fair compared to what you see in the market now if you want to buy gold in the OTC market. And you don't even know if it's tested. Whereas for us, it's tested, it's allocated, it's segregated, it's audited. And we put all of these documents on the ledger for you to know. And the second thing is the transaction fee, which is 0.1%, but it's much better than VAT. And the third one is basically building the ecosystem and add on the different applications.
Okay. And this may be just me, and I apologize, but I still don't really understand what the actual, like, what's the business model? Like, how do you implement your currency out there? Who uses it? Why? Is it to buy gold, or I don't really understand?
So essentially, yes, you can see it as two things. You can see it as an investment in gold that is more efficient than an ETF, in the sense that it's physical and it's really there, as opposed to ETFs that sometimes are built with synthetic products. Just for the record, the financial market is leveraged 100 to 1, meaning that there's 100 paper gold and paper ounces to 1 real ounce. So that's on the financial side. On the day-to-day basis, basically for you and I, right? It's basically competing with other forms of money, right? You would be competing with dollars or with other things. Now, you always have inflation and money backed by nothing but your government's trust, so by fiat. What we're doing here is that we're going back to the gold standard, and maybe we're not competing very quickly with US dollars, but for countries in Africa, for example, or Venezuela, who had a high rate of inflation, there's 2 billion people who are unbanked. Now they'll be able to transact in a money that is a lot more stable than the native currency. And it's also not owned by neither by a fractional reserve system, neither by a central bank. So that's the business model. The business model is to have true money, more stable money, but with a banking system that is so it's outside the banking system, so that it's private property laws. It's your gold. The token holder has a direct ownership with the gold in Switzerland. You can redeem it, but essentially it's a better form of transacting gold on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so that's the goal, is to transact gold. Me as a consumer, why do I care to do that?
Well, this is why I was talking about the monetary system as a whole first, right? Is because you want to keep your purchasing power, and you also don't want to have trade barriers, right? So on the first point is you want to keep your purchasing power as opposed to having inflation and possibly a default if your government defaults on the money, and essentially have lower purchasing power year by year. Whereas gold over the long term, it's historically proven that it keeps more or less its purchasing power. The second is that you don't have trade barriers, in the sense that you can transact with anyone, cross-border payments within a couple of minutes, as opposed to go through the banking system. And just as an anecdote, here in Switzerland, There's a lot of commodity trading companies, and in 2012 they were trading, for example, Iraqi oil, but they couldn't use the US dollar because there was an embargo. So these are sort of measures that are against free market, and using gold and doing barter. You're basically outside the banking system and outside a lot of other regulations. So you can basically trade on a fairly stable basis, with a fairly transparent price cross-border, because I don't have to change my price from a price in euros to a price in dollars, but everything is backed in gold. I mean, look, this is actually the standard throughout history.
So I think I just understood it, right? So the concept is creating a cryptocurrency, you know, and all the advantages and benefits of a cryptocurrency with, you know, with international payments, transactions, discrete, quick, you know, blah, 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 right?
Right.
But since it's backed by gold and silver, the value of the currency shouldn't be fluctuating, you know, like we have today, right?
That's correct.
Where, you know, Ethereum has lost 90%, you know,
Yeah.
blah, 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 right? So there's kind of peace in mind where if I did a transaction, you know, 2 months ago, someone paid me in Ethereum that was supposed to be worth, you know, $1,000, and now, you know, all of a sudden I look at my account and today it's worth 100. Well, man, I just, you know, I didn't get paid 1,000. I only got paid 100 then, right?
Right.
So you're saying you're creating a currency that's backed by gold and silver. So, but who's to say that, like, I mean, what happens if your currency does, you know, does decrease below the actual value of what the gold's worth?
Well, very good question. Okay, so two points. First of all, you nailed it on the head. That's exactly what it is. It's basically a Bitcoin backed by gold, if you want to call it this way. The thing is, it's a stable coin. And if you look at the crypto ecosystem, you always need a stable coin precisely for the reasons that you say, because you want to know that tomorrow's money is worth the same thing as today's money, right? And the track record of history is that actually, when you look all currencies, gold is the most stable money form. Right now, what happens if the price of the token is different to the net asset value, meaning the price of gold in the very liquid financial market? Well, it's very easy. It opens to arbitrage, and what arbitrage means, the benefit from the difference in pricing. What we would do if the token price is below the net asset value, sorry, we would basically buy the gold at discount. So we would profit from it because we would buy gold at discount, and we would be selling in the financial markets the gold that we can sell, and we would capture the profit. On the other side, you can do the same thing. You can sell the one and buy the other. We wouldn't, because initially, in the total gold market, if we only push for 500 million first, and then we would do many rounds of 500 million, say, for example, if the token is at a 15% premium, and that can be justified because, number one, it's an easier form to transact gold, so there's not enough tokenized gold so far. The second point is because, you know, it's not like you can trade a piece of ETF or a piece of investment that you have in gold in your portfolio versus a coffee or something like that. And the third is basically the network and the ecosystem of this. So if we see that the price is above the net asset value, that's also somewhat of a distortion. And what we would do is we would issue more tokens, because all it means is that there's more demands than offers. So we will issue more tokens. Now, the thing important to remember is that we cannot issue a token without having the physical gold backing it. So basically, we only constrain to the availability of the physical gold. And you know, the gold market is very big. It's a multi-billion-dollar market. Just to give you an example, the ETF GLD fund is 26 billion. But there is a limitation. The problem with the current banking system is precisely that there is a huge monetary mass, and it's not backed by anything. So you would see a deleveraging in some form. So you could see gold appreciating at the same time as the token.
So really, but the value of your currency, should be really directly correlated to the value of gold, right?
Yes,
So,
normally, yes.
So how do you really grow as a company? How do you really grow a currency where, a lot of these other ICOs out there, the value, I guess is more or less depending on their actual business, and the demand that they create for their tokens. And, maybe not right now, but in 3 years from now, a lot of these guys could, they could have bust out, situations where the token's worth nothing, or they create a great business model and a business where, the value of the token becomes, substantial. But yours is never really gonna, yours is only going to increase or decrease as the price of gold increases or decreases, right?
Well, you're correct in that it's a stable token. So it's not supposed to do 10x, okay?
Right.
It's not supposed to rocket or moon, if you want to call it that way, right? Because the way we work, okay, and here I'm talking about institutions joining the project, all right, is that we deliver first and then we sell something. For example, right now we haven't sold the token because we're gonna issue the token only when we have the gold back, and so on. So there's a difference in business model. We first deliver and then we issue the token. We don't overpromise and then sell the token back by nothing, right? Because the big problem with for example, utility tokens is that there's no utility behind it, right? Basically, I'm selling you Disneyland, and next thing you know, you only have the park nearby, or I'm promising the moon, and I tell you can ride my ride, but then you arrive and there's no ride, right? So that's not how we proceed because we care about our reputation. So number one, yes, it's not supposed to do 10x. It's supposed
and by the way, and you don't really care if it does that because that's not that's not how you're going to become successful. You're going to become successful if people start utilizing your token as a payment system throughout the world. That it's very a lot less volatile than a lot of these other cryptocurrencies out there. So you don't necessarily really care if it increases or decreases, but that's where then you need to create a model like the transaction fees where you just need mass adoption for people to use it. And sure, it'll increase, it'll decrease, whatever, but you want people to use it. I mean, am I right by saying all that?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, look, to put it bluntly, it's basically what we're trying to create is the biggest private central bank backed by gold. Okay, and what's in it for you if you invest with us? Basically, that's why we are onboarding CEOs of banks because they see the value in this. What's in it for you is essentially you're owning that central bank, and all you have is the revenue stream of the transactions. Right. That's really what the value here is. So it's a long shot, right? It's something that provides you with little income, but over a long period of time as a cash cow. For the consumer, it's a very efficient way to not go through all of the banking system because at the end, they're only paying 0.1% per transaction. So it's a lot more efficient than any tax or any bank who actually takes for Visa or MasterCard up to 1%. So everyone wins. And for us, we really try to create real money and essentially take the idea of an electronic peer-to-peer cash system and turn it into what I call an electronic peer-to-peer money system, because the difference is that you're talking about real money that is stable. And if you want, it's kind of like anti-fragile in the sense that the more you test the gold standard, the more you come back to it, because so far discovered there is no other system that incentivizes the store of value.
So when if you're trying to raise money in an ICO, but people invested in your currency, your token, are they really invested in gold then? Is that kind of your pitch?
Right. I mean, there's two things, right? We have to differentiate between the people who invest in our company, for which they get a piece of the company, and essentially they get a piece of the income as well.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who buy the token. And the people
Right.
who buy the token are the people who are essentially buying gold in a most efficient way. Essentially, their gold is stored in a segregated and allocated way in Switzerland. No matter where you are, you can redeem it at any point. You also see that all of the documents proving that we have the gold are on the ledger. We cannot, they're immutable, so we cannot. And essentially for them, for CryptoPunks, I would say, their value is they finally have a cryptocurrency that is stable and they can transact from one product to the other. Let's say last time I was talking to a real estate token, and they were like, well, the problem is that the people who want to buy my real estate token, they have to buy Bitcoin first. And then by the time they buy my token, you don't know what the value of the thing you're buying. Whereas if you go through my token, you know exactly how much worth of you have in exchange, right? So that's for the crypto guys. For the emerging markets, for them is basically their money is crap, and we have a better money for them. And they are unbanked, and now they only need a cell phone to be banked. And for the investment, the institutional investment people, what's in it for them is they basically have an ETF, an exchange traded fund that is more efficient, more transparent, and more cost efficient.
Now, what type of regulatory or governmental whatever do you need? You know, I mean, I know you're in Switzerland, so I don't know what what you need to do to protect yourselves, or I mean, because the SEC's hitting up a lot of these things now,
right.
here. So what's do you have any of that going on?
No, that's a great question, and it's also very important because we chose also Switzerland because of it's very crypto friendly, and we work with PwC Legal Switzerland. They're the ones who have issued a non-action request to FINMA. We're waiting for the response. I spoke to the SNB, the Swiss National Bank, and they said that, look, in Switzerland, and given how, I don't know if you know about the political system, but it's basically direct democracy. So you can be a private bank and issue private money. That's not a problem, right? So the regulatory framework, at least in this country, is totally okay for this. Now, there is a caveat to be completely transparent. That doesn't mean that my token might or might not be banned in some other countries, right? It could be banned in China, it could be banned in North Korea, it could be banned in Venezuela tomorrow because maybe everyone wants to have that instead of their crap money. But the thing is, the implementation of that ban is pretty hard to achieve, in a sense that it's basically trying to shut down the internet. You can't really do that. What I can say is that on my side, I'm doing everything absolutely within the legal framework. And as far as my first counterparties on the primary market, I do everything with a KYC, AML, know your customer, anti-money laundering. What happens on the secondary market, then that usually becomes the responsibility of third parties, right? Either exchanges who have to do their own KYC, or the people who have to, in their own individual responsibility, declare their holdings, or so on and so forth. But that's kind of like pushing the problem to the consumer in a way.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So so you guys are doing, have you done an ICO yet, or you're doing an ICO?
No, what we're going to do is an ICO in most likely in February 2019.
How much are you looking to raise?
Well, the thing is, it's going to be an ICO/TGE, meaning part of it is going to be an ICO, and that's depending on the popularity of the ICO side. And part of it will be a token generation event, which is basically gold that we already have, and we estimate to have 500 million, and essentially tokenize it. And then from there, we would be one of the top market caps. And we would find the liquidity through the crypto markets and other players that would help us to build the liquidity and start then transacting with people buying our tokens and essentially start using it as a real money, basically.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So I think it's very interesting. I do. I mean, what's your goal with coming on Pitch Investors Live here?
Well, my goal is first awareness so that people know that the token is coming. I mean, they will know because the exchanges are going to say, hey, look, there's a better version of Tether that is basically outside the government reach and that is actually backed by gold. So it's actually a true alternative to fiat. That's the first one. The second one is for investors because we're still raising funds. I mean, we can deliver, as I speak today, we can deliver with the funds we have, but we offer for people to come on board and also invest. Now, our projections are that we would have around about 10 million of top line and an EBIT of 4 million, which basically gives your money back pretty quickly. Within 1 year, you would be generating profits. So right now we are valued at 5 million, but we're raising, opening up another 15% of equity, not through an ICO, but through private investment.
Have you raised any so far?
Sorry?
Have you raised any money so far?
Yeah, we've raised a couple hundred thousands with different parties. And now what we're looking for is for new partners and also, basically allowing them to, one, build a presence in Switzerland in a trusted ecosystem, two, in a tax efficient system, and three, in a very promising project, basically.
So you're trying to raise 750 right now in the private raise, right?
Round about that, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. What can you send me? You have white paper? Do you have pitch decks?
You can find the white paper actually today. We are updating the website today. So within this week, you will see a completely revamped website. You can check out the white paper. I can also send you my pitch deck. So if you go on the website and you click on register your interest and you say that you are an investor, you will automatically be fed into our database. And then we would be able to send you the latest investment round offering that we have.
Very cool. Listen, this is interesting here. I'm glad we connected.
Yeah.
I want to check everything out that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I'd also love to follow up and get some other folks on our team involved.
Yeah.
Get some people that are a lot smarter than me to understand this also. So, because I like this. I think it's kind of cool. I want to do research. I think that I think I've heard of other cryptocurrency, gold-backed currencies out there before. Want to check those out, see what's going on out there. But, it's interesting. You're at the ground floor, and I like it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm going to be clear. Look, there is competition, but the competition only means that there is a market for it.
Sure.
And also the second thing is that we, in my humble opinion, we are the best position because one, we're in Switzerland. So historically, gold is the best to be stored here because it's a pretty neutral country. Politically, it's stable. Private property is guaranteed. And also, the gold is basically already here. So it's also the most efficient way for anyone to have their gold. What we're actually doing is allowing, family office or very big institutional investor services to be democratized so that everyone can have that. So we are also tapping into institutionals. And I think when you look around all the competition, we're probably the best position also in terms of the seriousness of the project and the people that we are going to onboard. So you probably hear about us end of December when we're going to be announcing the new board. And there you go. So let's stay in touch and then
all right, cool.
Take it from there.
Can you email me just so I have your information?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's Brian, Brian at kevinharrington.tv. I'll put it in the chat here just so you have it.
Cool.
Because I want to follow up. Got a couple more questions that I want to ask you later, but
any questions are welcome.
And oh wait, I just mistyped this. and then we can set up a time to chat.
Great.
Awesome, Thierry. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on Pitch Investors Live. It was great to meet you. Really happy we connected here.
I always appreciate that. I love what you guys do. Pitch Investors Live is a great platform for entrepreneurs, and I really appreciate what you do. And I think it's a great thing that not only you allow entrepreneurs to be out there, but also you democratize and disrupt this investment system. So I really love it. So
man, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Cheers, man. Take care.
There you go. Hey, thanks so much.